Hello, good evening and welcome back to the right venue for the 5th instalment of The Apprentice, You're Fired. I'm going to be joined by a celebrity panel to help us sift through the charred remains of this week's firee. But before that, we're going to have a look back at an episode in which some of the candidates changed gender and others just got all tied up.
I brought some granny gear with me and I'm going to be dressing up as a granny as well.
I think you have to skirt on back to front.
Do I?
I think you should do the slit at the front.
Eugene, do you want to do the white shot first?
I'm Betty.
I think it's... He looks like a drag queen.
He wishes he looked like a drag queen.
It will be like wearing a corset.
Okay.
Not that I know what wearing a corset is, all right? You're trying to grasp it now. You're just free. You're pretty good at this, Billy. Have you tied up men before, have you?
It's almost got an S&M kind of feel. Do I get the feeling you want to be a James Bond wannabe?
More like a James Bondage.
Maybe so, Bill.
Eugene looks far too comfortable in that skirt. Folks, will you help me welcome tonight's celebrity panel? First of all, helping to shed some light on tonight's episode, journalist Baveen Byrne. We also have the man who laid down tonight's task, that is, of course, Brian Mooney. And the star of Naked Camera, comedian PJ Gallagher. That's a hell of a welcome, PJ, isn't it? You're experienced in drag. What did you think of Eugene's performance?
Yeah, I've dressed up as an old woman before, but I knew I was trying to frighten people. So that's kind of the difference. Like, funny enough, B&Q never rang and says, hey, we've got a great idea for an ad campaign.
Well, the person, of course, we need, that we're missing from tonight, is the person who got fired. And she's been, what, embroiled in a battle all the way through with Chris. She's been in the world's biggest U-turn in the boardroom with Yinka, and she's now the subject of probably one of the world's greater fiascos in Apprentice history. But let's remind ourselves of what went wrong for her tonight. Here's Louise's bad news.
Louise, in this task, you haven't made any impact. And at the end of the day, you really don't have the persistence to get the right result. And for that reason, Louise, you're fired.
Thank you.
Well, she's here with us now, folks. Please welcome Louise O'Hara. Look at you. Hi, Louise. How are you? Have a seat. Having seen it back, your views.
I was right.
Right in which bit?
All of them.
Do you think, how much of the fact that you were fired, how much of that was down to the boardroom, how much of it was down to you on the task, and how much of it was down to you getting played by the other candidates?
The minute that we started the task, we sat down and Connor said, OK, we're going to divide up the team. Presentations, Sandra. Sub-PM, Eugene. I want the 2 boys in the design team. And I was like, I'm not going to do anything in this task.
And did you not give you a single job?
I knew straight away. Halfway through the task, like, I was throwing out just as many ideas as everyone else. Halfway through day 1, I was like, what is going on here? This is, you know...
Is that not a perfect position to be in, though? Because you can't get blamed for being in charge of it. And you weren't sub-PM, you didn't have to deliver the design. Could you not just sort of keep your head down?
You know, I really could have sat there and kind of went, oh, yeah, OK, that's a great idea, well done, yeah, and been nicey-nicey. But we did have a little toe-tapping disaster.
Well, honestly,
yeah,
disaster. The man responsible for actually having to judge it, Brian Mooney, was it that bad when it arrived into you?
Yeah. Let's be honest. I mean, the first thing I'll just say, I think it's a travesty that you're here. It's a Thierry Henry moment. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a scandal. It is. It's bigger than the presidential election.
I think you've got Connor, and Connor can talk a lot. And I think the problem that you had on day 1 is nobody listened.
I completely agree with the guys, right? I can't believe you got shafted in that boardroom there. And I thought Connor was in the ejection seat. But I think the huge mistake you made was that you were very vocal later on about this is wrong. We need clear marketing. We need much less for a billboard. But so you were seen to coast and sit back and only be vocal with criticism, and then you were seen as being negative.
Could she have clawed her way back during the boardroom? Brian?
No, I think it's early. I don't think Louise kept her mouth shut, and I think that in any team you need creative and then you need technical skills and knowledge. And Louise had that. She understood that. She understood how it should be laid out, what information should be on it, and nobody used that. Nobody listened and took that expertise and plugged that into it. We all don't have to be creative.
Exactly, it went like this. This is a bad idea. No, lads, you need to listen. This is a bad idea. I'm really warning you. And that was it. And then she sits down in the boardroom and Bill goes, "Get in, stand up here."
But what they did say during the brainstorming thing was, yeah, OK, we get the point that it's a bad idea. What have you got as an alternative? And it seemed like Louise didn't have much.
I know, but that doesn't mean you just go, the car's going to crash, should we get out? Or should we just run into the crash until someone decides which way to turn?
OK, well, let's go back through and see if we can sift through some of the footage to figure out where it all went wrong for Louise.
Your task today is to create an original advertising billboard.
I really think we should go with Sandra's idea. I'm sorry, but I think that's
all
what
it
we're
now,
doing.
so I just asked you to fall in line with the idea that we have. I don't want to be jumping from Jimmy to Jack. So we'll go with one forestry image and one drab indoor domestic image.
A billboard should be quick. You take it in immediately. You want to get a laugh and you want to talk about it. That's not a billboard, that's an information leaflet.
Well, Louise isn't part of this team at the moment.
You're not putting any of that tick-the-box malarkey that you used yesterday, because that won't blend.
There's a drop-down list on the right-hand side.
Connor, it's a billboard, not an information leaflet.
They're saying to keep it simple, but yet they've taken the busiest image I think they possibly could.
I'll see you later, Quentin. I'll see you later. Good luck to you.
Connor, did all your team perform and contribute?
I just felt that perhaps maybe Louise could have put forward more ideas.
Betty could never be an icon for a progressive retailer. Connor, who are you going to bring back into the boardroom?
I feel Louise deserves to be back in the boardroom.
Someone said Rowan behind the team. If I got the 2 oars and put them up in the air and hit you over the head with them, no one would have noticed me. And that's how it felt the last 2 days.
Louise, in this task, you haven't made any impact, have you?
Bill,
nothing that I've been able to see.
I'm in
I've
here
heard
because
lots of
nobody
talk.
listened to my ideas.
See, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You make lots of talk, but nobody listens and nobody hears. You really don't have the persistence to get the right result.
Connor's the golden boy. He just shouts points and doesn't, he doesn't have any backup. The reason he brought me into the boardroom is what he does all the time, except I had, valid points.
When he came in on the bicycle doing his transvestite granny impression, were you impressed?
It was a good show. It wasn't a presentation. And I think from a comedy act, very good. From trying to get the message across of what we're trying to do, no. But he is creative. I'll give him that. And he seems to be creative on his own.
Yeah.
But do you buy this thing that there's that people are teaming up against Louise?
Yes. Yeah.
Who are you pointing the finger at as being part of that?
Oh, where do you start? Chris? No. So I think probably reality is in the house. You haven't done yourself any favours over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So not too many fans in there. And maybe it was a bit of a strategy from Connor to bring you in with him.
He knew to bring you in, and I think there's a kind of a bold streak in Connor we haven't seen. I mean, he arrived back at the house after having been given a dressing down by Bill, and he was playing pranks. I mean, clearly it was, he didn't feel he was in trouble at all.
PJ, you
I thought when he brought you in, it was a bit of suicide, though. I thought he was gone. I thought it was like he had a choice of a few people to pick a fight with, and he chose Mike Tyson. and somehow he won, I just thought he made a few mistakes, and some of the things he said...
Has Louise done badly, though, back at the house, building allegiances? Because we've seen in previous episodes some of the fights that she may have had with Chris.
Yeah. Well, you have a thing where you're just going to say it how it is.
Yeah,
and I'm sure,
exactly.
and that's, I suppose when you're all sitting around the breakfast table the next morning, that probably makes a bit of an unusual atmosphere.
Well, whatever about the reaction at the breakfast table, one of the times that you see the candidates being at their most honest is, of course, when they're in the car straight after leaving the boardroom. Here's what Louise had to say straight after she'd been fired.
Yeah, already, like, there's lots of backstabbing. Myself and Chris were almost killing each other over the last few tasks. I don't think that Eugene should have been fired. That's not maybe. I think that he deserves to be there. Sandra would literally stick her high heel in your head to get over you, like. Connor's the golden boy. Connor's the youngest ever apprentice, so he'll be let here for another while. He was very busy, you know, over the last 2 days. He had to do cut and paste and make his little things go on the page that were completely unnecessary. Peter hasn't done anything at all of note in the past 5 tasks. Noel sat and talked awful boringly about everything, but he had no input either. If Bill is happy to have people in there that are too stupid to know what a billboard is, then I'm happy to be out of this task, absolutely.
So you think Bill's stupid?
Yep.
You think Bill is stupid?
Yeah.